What role do you feel the government has in minimising stigma towards intravenous drug users, those in and out of treatment and in recovery? It's a two-part question. How do you feel this impacts those needing treatment to hepatitis?
Well, firstly, I think government has got a massive responsibility. I would almost describe it as a bit of a moral responsibility to tackle stigma and to tackle and address and overturn a lot of the prejudices and misconceptions in this area, and I take that very seriously. You know, I think we need to educate the wider public about some of the circumstances and factors that will surround an individual becoming a drug user, and we need to do more to tackle some of the misconceptions around harm reduction and recovery, and be much more supportive of people at all stages of that journey. And I think government, it's not the only player in the field here, but I think government, by virtue of the status governments have got to really lead by example. And that, I think, is particularly relevant in terms of what we're talking about here, because, you know, I spoke earlier on about the need to get greater diagnosis rates around Hep C. If we're going to encourage people to come forward, to get tested, to get diagnosed and get into treatment, then that's going to be, it's always going to be much harder to do that if we allow stigma to continue and make people feel uncomfortable or unwilling to come forward. So this is all a really important, first and foremost, it's an important part of treating people with dignity and like human beings, and giving people the support and not the sense of punishment that often goes with stigma. But it's practically important as well, because we won't increase diagnosis rates and get more people into treatment if we don't also reduce the stigma that keeps people away from that in the first place.
I think, from a personal note, on the back of that, like, I self-stigmatised as well before I went for treatment, so until I got past that self-stigmatising part, I wasn't going to move on in my treatment and get the help I needed.
I think that's really important, and I think to be fair to individuals who were in the situation you're in, you know, we don't help you overcome that yourself if we, you know, are part of a society that kind of heaps that stigma upon you. And so I think that's a really important part of all of this. And, you know, governments have got big responsibilities around, you know, funding and, you know, provision of treatment and making sure the services are there, but actually the responsibility to stand up and be counted and tackle stigma head on is perhaps in some ways the greatest responsibility of all.
Yeah.